Hey, what's good, everybody? This is Jerry from the Hype Magazine. We're on the line today with a unique live session. We've got American actor, model, musician, and photographer, Mr. Benjamin Patterson, a.k.a. Ben. Can I call you Ben?
Hey, Ben is perfect. Thank you so much.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. We appreciate you being with us today, man.
Hey, I appreciate being here.
Wow. So you've got an impressive resume. I mean, for years, on ABC's Grey's Anatomy and Noah's Ark,
yes.
which I actually watched a couple of times.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
I was like, wow, it was new. I don't watch TV much. I'm so busy writing, but
yeah.
And now you're returning to TV this summer alongside Oprah on Greenleaf, man.
Yeah.
How exciting is that, man?
It's actually really wonderful. It's starting to pick up a lot of momentum. I was getting texts last night during a series finale of If Loving You Is Wrong. My aunt texted me, my mom texted me, a couple of cousins. They were like, oh, my God, like we just saw you on TV. And I'm like, oh, I guess it's hitting the West Coast. Last week it was during Empire. In the southern states, they were running a trailer, so it's exciting. It's getting to be more real at this point. When you're shooting it, it's more of like, okay, it's work it and let's get through it, and it's nice and it's fun. And then when you see the finished product, that's when it starts to set in.
So what are we talking about, man? 14, 16, 18 hours on set during the shooting season?
Everything in between. There was a couple of nights that we crept into that 13, 14 hour area. But even on those times when you were here there at 7 in the morning, it was still fun. People do get tired, but people were still in good spirits and had a good time. And so the atmosphere, from my perspective, never really shifted from that. Even when some of the nights were a little tense as far as the content. I remember at one point in between takes, myself, Greg Allen, and Keith David were singing the Big Payback, James Brown, and then the director had to come out and go, hey, y'all, we're trying to make a TV show. Like, okay, get it together. But, it was like a surreal moment. I'm like, we're really singing James Brown, Big Payback right now, But it was really cool.
Hey. You know what? If you're able to smile and laugh and joke at work, then it's no longer work. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? You're just doing something. So, man, how you got a big stretch here from Grey's Anatomy to Greenleaf. I mean, the part that you played, and normally we don't see, or we're just starting to see, black actors allowed to stretch their game and play different roles. We're no longer, of course, in the shoot 'em up, every black guy dies in the first scene and gangster and all that. So you played a transgender person in Grey's Anatomy.
Yes.
And now you're in a church movie.
Right, yeah, church series. It's really interesting because it's one of those situations I feel like when the right role comes along, you just, it's almost inescapable. You kind of meet up, you know what I mean? And when I was just even the audition for Grey's, when I saw it, I found that just fascinating in itself. And generally speaking, I kind of look at everything from just the acting standpoint. And if I book it and I go further with it, then I kind of get into like the bigger picture of it, like, wow, like the social climate going on at the time, and also, the personal impact it will have on a positive note to people that are experiencing that. So with Greenleaf, it was pretty much the same thing. But once I got it, and we got on set, I started just kind of like reading things that were going on in the actual world of Greenleaf. It really hits home. I mean, it speaks to Black Lives Matter. It speaks to infidelity. It speaks to families deeply involved in the faith-based churches, and that's across any church. It could be anything in the U.S., anything across the world. So it is a wonderful opportunity.
Tell me about your role in Greenleaf. And your role and what you play.
Sure. So my role at the for the Cavalry Fellowship, Bishop Greenleaf and his wife. So the bishop is Keith David, and Lynn Whitfield is his wife, and their daughter is played by Meryl Dandridge. Now, Meryl is Grace Greenleaf. I'm her ex-boyfriend growing up, but now I'm the head of security for the family. So I'm kind of the behind the scenes, keep everything running smooth, get the jet ready, get the car ready, Secret Service guy, but in a faith environment, you know what I mean? So you see me, and I also have a fiance, so I have my own family that I'm starting. So needless to say, there's going to be questions asked. Grace is returning home because, as you see in the trailer, her sister has passed away, and there's unanswered questions surrounding that.
Okay. All right. So what's the most fun for you, as an entertainer? Is it having the opportunity, because I think it's multifold, because obviously you're playing the non-traditional parts that Hollywood Shuffle talked about so badly, what I mean? And you're playing more responsible, more in-depth roles that require more giving from you as an actor. What's the most fun for you right now?
Wow. Interesting. I want to say, and this is, I guess people that have worked with me will probably disagree. I want to say that the most fun is the more serious the role, because I find that, as soon as you say cut, I'm goofing off or I'm making a joke or something's funny that I'm like noticing. And others would probably go, oh, you must love comedy, And I haven't really done a lot of it. I did, not the Have and Have, what is that show called? Damon Wayans series. But I tend to have more fun the more serious I have to be, because it forces me into a different gear, if you will, and I have to explore in that. But once I'm in it, then I find that I'm very creative and I adapt pretty well. So I really do enjoy like the serious, the drama, and the more dangerous, I guess, the more emotionally dangerous the role, then I think that's where I will find a little bit more of a challenge and then thus more joy.
Okay. So outside of the entertainment industry and from the outside looking in, tell us who is Ben Patterson.
Wow. Outside, I'm a kid from Oakland that grew up seeing a lot, observing a lot, and thus wanting to do a lot. In school, I remember just, being in 8th grade looking at my brother's yearbook. I went to Bishop O'Dowd High School in Oakland, and I just remember just seeing people in different clubs. They had a ski club, a chess club, the track, football teams, obviously, and basketball and all that. And I just remember I just wanted to do everything. And I came from my parents exposed me to so much, but they also encouraged me to do, whatever I felt I wanted to do, as long as, it was positive and I could handle it, then it was like, go for it. I started school a year early because I thought that kids were playing where they were dropping my brother off at, and, I got tested and they were like, yeah, he's ready, hit it up. So I started school at 4. So I'm kind of keeping in that theme, I've always, I didn't start playing music until high school, and I didn't really read music, but I figured out the drums, so I just stuck with it. And then later on moved on to guitar, bass, and piano, but didn't approach it from the academic side. I didn't approach acting from the academic side. I kind of came into that through modeling and also then commercial work, but also seeing other people doing it and seeing kind of the interest that it sparked. Then, I was like, well, maybe if I do it and I like it, then cool. If not, then, I'm going to just ride this modeling thing out and figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of my life, somehow make it happen with music. And I just, things were happening, and then I was really, emotionally connecting with it, but then also meeting people along the way that were encouraging in the sense that they were doing the same thing but just a few steps further. So then I was like, okay, I've got to do this. Like, that looks like so much fun,
Man, and pardon the pun, all right, but how did you psych yourself up to, step out and trust, like, you hit up a local modeling competition that you won. It's International Model of the Year, and while you were studying at San Diego State University, you were studying psychology, right?
Yes.
So
that's an interesting. That was an interesting time in my life. Like, I remember at one night, because I swam competitively, so one of my privileges was I got to use the pool whenever I wanted to, but San Diego didn't have a men's team. So I was working out one night, and I just remember, I got offered to be in that competition, and I just remember thinking, like, wouldn't that be crazy if I won? Because I'd never modeled before. I'd seen pictures, and I had a friend named Freddie who was a model, and good-looking dude. He did a couple of editorials that I saw, but I had completely no interest. Like, there wasn't anything that I was like, maybe I want to do this. It was just like I had a thought, like, wouldn't it be funny if I won? So I approached it kind of from like the innocence of a little kid, like, okay, well, all these other people are here and they're serious about it. I'm just here, and I'm going to bring my camera, and I'm going to take pictures, and I'm going to meet people, and I'm going to have fun. And I'm really not taking this that serious. And I'll never forget it. Like, the final competition, or the final announcement, they announce all the people that are up for Model of the Year, and one of the guys ended up on Days of Our Lives. I remember he was on there. This guy named Kyle Lauder. And then all these other people, 27 other people, and we're just standing up there, and I'm thinking they're going to say, okay, 88th runner-up, Ben Patterson, cool, whatever. But they kept, announcing, and then they finally got to first runner-up, and then they're like, first runner-up, and the winner is, and they announced this other dude. And I was like, does that mean I won? I really, really wasn't I wasn't, like, hoping for it, and I wasn't wanting it. I just kind of, it really did just happen that way. And,
wow.
I got a few people were like, oh, my God, this is amazing. You got to, but I also had to move to L.A. I lived in San Diego at the time because, driving from San Diego to L.A. for a 15-minute casting, I did that for about 2.5 months. And I was like, okay, well, this driving is killing me. So yeah, it wasn't. So I wasn't, all that to say, to answer your question, I wasn't so invested that I was really, wanting to win it, and I wasn't really that shy about it because I was just kind of like, well, whatever, I'm just here, and which is a great, kind of a great way to approach certain things.
So really, you had no conscious intention on getting into the entertainment industry, per se. It just actually happened, and it organically happened. I mean, you won that, then you booked for Macy's, Bud Light, and, infomercials. We're going to come back to the infomercial situation. Believe I got to know.
Yeah.
And then you got a walk-on role in The Bold and Beautiful, which was the black daytime soap.
Yeah.
And talk to me about the difference for, shooting on a soap as opposed to shooting this serious series, with Oprah.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And I have a few friends that are on soaps now, and I have a lot of respect for soap actors in that, especially ones that have been in it for 10, 15, 20 years. You get on set and you get your script. And this is anything. You get a rewrite, you get time, you learn your rewrite, and you go out there and you do it. Soap actors, you get, a certain amount of dialogue, and they got to crank it out in a day. You crank out half an episode, maybe a full episode, but the amount of turnover that you have to deal with is pretty substantial. And I know people that just get in there and like you get in and you read and you read and you read, and you don't get a ton of time to digest it and really make it as deep as you possibly can within the time frame that you get. But the ones that really do, and they're very talented at it, that's who you see, and that's who you see that are on there in the long run. And how it's different than how we shot on Greenleaf is that, we would get rewrites, but I would get a script, and let's say the episode was, 104 or something like that. We would shoot, 5 to 7 days, of which I was working, let's say, 3 to 4 of them. So if I had time down in between those shoot days, I was reading my script, reading everybody else's parts, because if something were to change, and a lot of times they did, you have to be prepared for that. And that's what I think keeps any actor very flexible.
I mean, what are the memory tricks that you might use? You know what I mean?
80s hip-hop. That's the trick.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I'll put on, let's say I'll put on Dougie Fresh The Show, right? And you know the song. Like, it's playing in your head right now. You know the song.
Right, it is.
And I'll just start reading the script. Right? But I'll just start reading the script without trying to memorize it. I'll just read it all the way through, read all my parts all the way through, and then put on a different song, read it again, put on a different song, read it again, and I'll just do that for 45 minutes, an hour straight. And then when I come back to it, I'll come back to it maybe 2 hours later. Then I'll read it and then kind of picture how it's going to go. But the whole time that I've read it the first time, I'm not really thinking about it, so it just kind of seeps in. And I think from repetition, as a musician, repetition has always worked for me. And, some people do it differently. Some people have to be in a completely quiet environment. Me, it's just very, it's almost like if I distract myself while I'm doing it, it makes it easier. But once I read it enough, and, of course, flying, to Atlanta, there's that, 3.5 to 4.5 hour flight. It would always just give me time to read. So that's what did it for me.
So you're on the plane with your headphones on, looking at your script, and doing Dougie Fresh's parts, and then all of a sudden, do you break into the beatbox too while you're doing it? On the plane, and people in first class are looking at it like, what is this dude doing?
Because while I'm reading, the Slick Rick part comes on, and I always stop that little Michelle, and I'm like, okay, man, let me get back to the part. But that's the part.
Yeah, that's the part. Okay. That's insane. I mean, I'm not an actor or an entertainer of any sort. It is so fun to get, the individual perspectives of how you guys do your work, and I do love your work, which I have seen, you know what I mean? I'm not a huge television fan. Well, basically, I don't have time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I watch the trailers because that's what the PR people send me, or the network send me. I watch the trailers and say, oh, that looks like it's going to be good. I actually have to calendar.
Yeah.
In my master calendar, it pops up and says, "Oh yeah, you need to watch Love and Hip Hop." I hate Love and Hip Hop. You know what I mean? I hate the concept. Okay, let me just put it that way. But for something more serious, like Greenleaf, that is something I would put into my recurring. Okay, every Monday night at this time, in my time zone, I need to boom, and then I'll program my phone to change the time zones, and my reminders will change based on where I am in the country. You know what I mean? So that I can see it. Yeah, I'm old and I have to cheat because I can't remember all this stuff. Working with Oprah, everybody's going to ask you this question, and I've purposely avoided it up until this point. You know what I mean? So let's just go on and get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Working with Oprah, go ahead.
Working with Oprah is one of those things that when you experience it, it would be like as if, you're a basketball player and Kobe, Michael Jordan, and Steph Curry come in and go, hey, we're going to shoot around here. You want to join us? You elevate everything you do. And, I really feel that people have to understand, she's done so many great things that when she's there on set, because she's in three or four episodes, when she's there on set, everybody's talented, and everybody, Lynn and Keith are amazing. The whole cast is amazing. Merle is undeniably, I think somebody, I'm not going to say who I think, but I think somebody's going to get nominated for this show. But everybody comes in with such, power behind them from an acting standpoint that, that for me makes me want to go, okay, well, minimally I'll be, crazy off book and I'll know their part. So if they get lost, I'll be able to say, this is what you're going to say, which never happens. But when she's there, it's like on a personal level, you've grown up with this person and you see her and she's so nice and so engaging that you feel like you're working with a family member almost. I remember the first person I met in hair and makeup was Keith, and he just kind of put his hand on my shoulder, was like, "Hey, brother, how you doing? Welcome. Good to meet you." And I was like, wow, like, this dude is, like, as cool as he is, talented. Like, Jesus, this is amazing. But when I met her for the first time, she was just super engaging. She looks at you in the eye. She talks to you, and she just makes you feel very, very, very important and very loved. You know what I mean? And so that's, there was never any attitude and never anything from any of her staff or everybody, like, super nice. Everybody's efficient. Everybody gets their work done, but everybody was just, amazing to be around. So it was just an all around wonderful experience.
Yeah, I've watched her amazing career from the time when she was competing with Donahue. When she was on that small set in Chicago. You know what I mean?
Donahue, when she was rocking the.
Yeah, she's killing it. That was a long time. That dated me. I know.
Hey, well, I know Donahue. And what was it, Sally Jesse Raphael?
Sally Jesse Raphael, yeah. And Oprah was killing and stealing their ratings because she was, such a great person on screen. And, I've heard, I've never met her, but I understood that she is, like, just an amazing human being to deal with once she allows you in to her circle. And, of course, being on set, you guys are going to be, what is it, 22 episodes makes a season, right? Something like that?
13 for us.
13 for you? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, you guys spend a lot of hours together, and you have to get along, and nobody can be a star because everybody's part of the team. She's the executive producer, but she's still a team member and has to play a role. And so she comes with that. That has to be very refreshing because I'm certain that everyone you've dealt with hasn't been that way. I know that you're on CSI Miami, and David Duchovny has a reputation all the way back from Hill Street Blues and not necessarily being the easiest to work with, but he's successful and he drives people to be greater. You know what I mean? So that's a good thing. Man, DJ.
Yeah.
So what was the first song that you ever scratched?
Oh my goodness, you were the first person to ever ask me that. Wow. Okay. Well, here's the short answer, and I still have a Technic 1200 right in front of me in my office.
Oh,
my birthday is May 19th. I saved up money, and I asked everybody. They were like, "What do you want for your birthday?" I was like, "All I want is money because I want a mixer." My brother had a friend that was a DJ, and I was over his place after we got our haircut. He was scratching, and I was like, "Okay, I gotta do that." Bought myself a mixer on May 20th. I bought EPMD, You Got to Chill, Sweet Tea, It's Like That, Y'all, and Public Enemy, Rebel Without a Pause single. And I got home, and the first, I want to say the first two records I put together was Sweet Tea and Public Enemy, because the instrumental to It's Like That, Y'all, and Rebel Without a Pause is basically the same beat, which is funny because when beat counters came out, I was like, why do you need a beat counter? Just listen to it. But it was that acapella of Sweet Tea. Sweet Tea's in the groove. It's the back in the move. It's the thrill to be that. That was the very. It was like, I mean, just back and forth. And then Beastie Boys. What is that song? Let yourself go. Slow in love. Because if you listen to CIA, which is Ice Cube's first group with Dr. Dre, they use that go. So that, I remember hearing that and going, okay, I got to be able to do that. And then after that, it was like listening to Boys in the Hood and trying to do that beer drinking, breath drinking, sniffing, glue, like just anything I heard, It very, that's when, rap was so new that, the Herbie Hancock Rocket scratch was like,
oh my God, did you pull that one out of the hat? Yes, you did.
Yeah, that was like, yeah, that was like okay. But if you were in the know, and a buddy of mine hit me to this, Fab Five Freddy had a record that had the scratch sound that you hear on all the UTFO stuff. All the Roxanne scratch. That Roxanne scratch, once I got that, it was like you couldn't even talk to me at recess. Like I was just in a zone. Like I could not believe I found the Fab Five Freddy record with the with the sound effect on it, and then, I got Roxanne, and Leader of the Pack and all those, and just matched them, and that's all I did. Like, my homework suffered.
I can only imagine.
Oh, my goodness. Like, it went from, like, and I wasn't a bad student, but, I was always, good in math and science. I was always good at English, so it was kind of like, well, why do they say it this way, But once I got my DJ stuff, it was like, oh, okay, you need to make a decision here, because you can't come home with this C+ on this report card, so you need to make this happen. And then I got it, I got it back up, as I got into high school, but, then just more stuff came out, and then I got my 1200s, and it was just like, oof.
You bring up people don't even get report cards now. They email them to the parents now,
right.
Parent Connect or some nonsense,
Goodness.
And parent-teacher conferences are face-to-face or almost totally out the window. But that's C+, man.
Oof.
By you saying that, it tells me something about your family structure. Your parents were, obviously supportive, but disciplinarians, yeah? You came up under the old school regime.
Absolutely. Like my, both my parents worked. My mother graduated from San Francisco State. My dad went to the military after high school, and then once we were, I want to say, so he got his bachelor's from Cal State Hayward when my brother graduated from high school. So he was working, and then decided I'm gonna go back, and then got his master's when I went to San Diego State. So it was a very interesting educational climate. At the same time, both parents were very free and open thinkers, and me and my brother and I were also very, I wouldn't say very creatively driven, but like my brother played football, but he was also in drama. I swam and played football, but I was also in music all 4 years through high school. So they were, and the high school I went to, which interestingly enough, Lance Gross also went to the same school but graduated way later. He's younger than I am. The curriculum is set up so that you have to take a fine art and you have to take a foreign language and you have to take a physical science every year, just so that you are Cal State and UC eligible. So it was a wonderful school, but it also forces you to be open. You can be. I have a good friend, Tajay Massey, who's in that group Souls of Mischief. If you remember in 93 Till Infinity, we had drafting together. That dude also started school a year early, and he was in all AP classes. So, interestingly enough, as a dope MC, and I think he's one of the dopest, also extremely smart. He also went to Stanford.
Hello. Okay. Yeah. Just the word itself just tells you that's a whole conversation right there.
Yeah.
So you started your music, obviously DJing. That's awesome, and that gives you some creativity and syncopation, et cetera, et cetera. So let's talk about your music career. I know that you've got a project coming out this summer, and it's destined for iTunes. Do you have a release date yet and a title?
Yes, so the title is called 26 Letters, just like the alphabet. I put a single up on iTunes. I do everything myself, so the self-promotion side of me has to run it through certain channels. The first single is called Maxine, and it's a little bit darker and different than the other stuff that I've written. Everything else that's on iTunes is Hollywood Summertime, which is 13 tracks, and then there's Psychology, which is 13 tracks and a couple of remixes. My music is basically 80s, 90s R&B funk. Like I am probably the biggest Prince fan I know, and horrible loss, and a tremendous amount of music is now coming out. Unfortunately because of this, but. I mean, I even have a picture of me right now. It's on my Instagram, Benjamin Patterson all day, of me as Prince in fourth grade. Yeah, my mom made me the outfit. I was like, I had to be Prince. It wasn't even a question of what I wanted to do that year. But
you shouldn't even told me that, because I'm looking on Instagram right now.
Oh, yeah. If you go back a couple of weeks, if you go back, it's probably around, I think, the April 21st day. You'll see it. It's me with my hands out and my little purple vest, and you'll get a kick out of it. But the new music that's coming out, it's on iTunes. I play everything as always. I play all the instruments and I sing all the vocals. I actually mix everything too. So if it sounds a little weird, that's because I can't mix all that great.
Wow!
But I'm actually going to be working with. I think I'll be working with another producer as I come to the close of this. This is going to be actually a double project for me because there's I think about 25 songs total, and I just feel like, you know what, I'm going to just do it all, you know.
Well, you know, I want to congratulate you, you know, on your success and on the intestinal fortitude it takes to stay in the entertainment industry, despite, you know, the challenges and the long days and the sacrifices, you know.
Yeah, there was some sacrifices this time, and I didn't really get that until our son was born, also visible on Instagram. But he was born between episodes 9 and 10. He was born on January 15th, and I actually flew back so he came home on Sunday. I flew back on Monday to Atlanta, worked 2 days, and then came back on Wednesday, and then it was just a bunch of back and forth. But when people were talking about, oh, it's a sacrifice, I'm like, yeah, well, you know, it's not that bad. I can get, you know, it's a schedule. And then all of a sudden he was born. I'm like, yeah, this is a sacrifice because I got to leave it, you know. But it's all good. It's all good.
So what is he, like 5 months old now?
He
Handsome
actually,
young man.
Just made 4. Thank you so much. Just made 4 months on the 15th, and he's big.
That's cool. Who makes the ties?
The 4-month sticker. Those are stickers. I forget who gave us those.
Okay, yeah, the 1, 2, 3, 4. That's awesome.
Yeah. So hopefully he'll get out of the sticker game. There's a couple other ones like the 5 and 6. I think they're like little circles, but he got him looking like Pat Riley with his long ties on.
Hey, no, that was so unique. I've never seen that before, and you know, very handsome young man, and I know that you're proud. It's always great to be a parent. What do you feel about parents who put their dreams on their children?
Oh,
this wasn't going to be an easy interview all the way through.
No, I love it. These are great. Great questions. That's a really good, because I see it firsthand. I am not an advocate of putting my dreams on to my son. What I am for is, because like I'll sit at my keyboard and I'll let him bang out on the keys, and I think it's hilarious. But I think that I believe that he's understanding something, and just the creative side of anybody. If there's an outlet, let it be there. Like if he wants to, you know, be a computer guy, if he wants to play sports, if he wants to do whatever, he can do whatever. I was raised in that environment, so I've seen people make it all the way through. I went to high school same time Jason Kidd was there. We knew each other remotely. We were like, you know, the closest homies. I won't like put everything on it, but we would speak, and I knew a couple of his friends, and then also Tarek Glenn, who played for the Indianapolis Colts and got a Super Bowl ring. I knew him, and you know, we had band together. We worked at Crab Feed together, like we were friends. But they, I don't believe, really had like a super like hardcore, hey, you gotta, and then they developed as athletes, and they went all the way through. And I've seen people now that have like 5 and 6 and 7-year-olds, and they're just super on them, you know. And it's like, well, I mean, you didn't do it, you know. And I feel like, you know, it's unfair to the kid, but if they're interested in it, then, you know, by all means. But, you know, at some point, you know, I feel like you have to let the child develop and, you know, nurture their interests, you know, but still give them the choice, you know.
I've watched, what is this? They have a reality show series or something like that, that just talks about or just shows these crazy parents You know what I mean? Little kids on freaking T-ball, and the father is screaming or the mother is screaming, and like, you know, that's a way to put extra baggage on a child. You know what I mean? And it's just anyway, we won't get into the negative stuff, but I have to, as an aware person, an educated person who's, you know, seen a lot, you know, and has a diverse experience from the DJing, the old school hip hop, 80s hip hop, you know what I mean, to now and the development of roles. You know, can you give me, as a grown man, your feelings and your insight on our children being killed by government agencies? And we're not going to say black and white, because I've witnessed some white kids getting served really badly by campus police and they were in their apartment just having a party and no disruption. So it's not black and white for me.
Right.
It's American citizens and the American establishment.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, and I'm glad you actually addressed that, because sometimes people, I feel like they forget the universal, you know, underlying theme here, which is a life is taken or a life is lost, and it doesn't matter, you know, the color of that person. It's still a tragedy is a tragedy, you know, and it's really unfortunate that people, you know, are in situations where now all of a sudden they're no longer here because somebody made a decision that could have been taken a different way. I forget, there was a statistic that I read online that, it was a clip. That's what it was. It was a clip. It was a homeless guy. It was in Germany, and he was mentally challenged, but he was a big dude, and he was, you know, he was out somewhere in front of somebody's house, but he was just like, you know, losing it. But, you know, the officers showed up. It was like 7 or 8 of them, and they basically kind of walked him away from the property. The guy is still yelling and screaming, and, you know, he's just like in shorts and maybe a shirt or something like that. But at no point did they even pull out, they weren't even like reaching for their weapons. You know what I mean? It was like the whole idea was, let's get this guy away from anybody else, and let's get him, you know, into, you know, either the car or whatever they were going to take him away in. But it wasn't, let's shoot him, and it wasn't, let's even, you know, they weren't like, let's kill him. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate that the climate kind of becomes this like final, like, okay, well, somebody rolls up, pull out a gun. Like, that's how that should not even be, that should be the last resort. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do to you know, stop a violent situation, but, you know, before that even becomes the situation, like if it's just an altercation, if it's an argument, like people, you know, need to talk, and that's on both ends. You know, everybody, there's, you know, there's always 2 contributors or 3 contributors to whatever situation is happening. But, you know, it's unfortunate that the climate has become so volatile that, you know, as a parent now, you know, I look at classic example. I look at Fruitvale Station. I saw that movie. I grew up 5 minutes. I walked to Fruitvale Station. I caught BART countless times to San Francisco and Berkeley, you know, growing up. So, like, I knew as soon as it started, I remember when it happened, but I remember as soon as watching the movie started, I was like, oh, yeah, I can totally see how this happened. You know, I was in L.A. at the time because I got a text that night. My cousin was like, dude, like, it's going down. Like, somebody just got shot. He didn't even know they got killed. He said somebody got shot at BART. You know, but it's like, it's unfortunate, you know, for the person on the receiving end, because they're no longer here, you know, and the person on the giving end, if you will, you know, they have to live with that, you know what I mean? And that in itself is also, you know, a tragedy, but, you know, they're living with it as opposed to being no longer here. So, yeah, it's unfortunate.
It's amazing. I mean, you know, sometimes entertainers don't want to address, those type of situations. But I feel we have a responsibility as human beings, and it doesn't matter our color, but, and especially if you're a parent, understanding that, hey, somebody else's family is in pain, but as soon as, one of these, and I'm from a law enforcement family. I'm retired military, but, I grew up surrounded by FBI and Secret Service people like that all my life. And, they're people too, but as soon as one of them gets laid down, then it's, a major situation. But what we as media fail to sometimes highlight is, if you challenge a police officer, you have to think about the level of commitment that the person who killed a police officer had to have in order to pull that trigger. Because now you're talking about a government agency. It's not just a human being. Right. It's a symbol. We've done something against a symbol. And usually for people to cross that line, something had to have happened to make them feel so disrespected or so threatened that they had to step up. Not that there aren't some buttholes out there that just do stupid stuff. But, in this day and age, the level of commitment to kill someone in the first place is something most people don't understand. But for a government official or a law enforcement officer, it's even more. So, okay, well, thank you for touching on that with me. We won't stay on the negative because I'm having so much fun, and I'm so looking forward to June 21st as Greenleaf comes back, and Benjamin Patterson playing Noah Kendall. You're in all 13 episodes of this season. And so that has to be extremely pleasing to be in the full season.
It is. It allows you to stretch. It allows you to grow, and it allows you to create a character that now people are going to, hopefully fall in love with, hopefully want to see more of. But also, the storyline is so tangled that it really does keep you interested. People are gonna talk. The church world, I don't think the church world has really been
exposed,
characterized, and exposed. Or just talked about in a not necessarily judgmental, but just kind of an expose. Like, hey, look, this is a fictional story. Here are some fictional characters. What do you think?
Do you know if somewhere in the backstory, Bishop Ulmer from L.A. or T.D. Jakes happened to weigh in on any of your characterizations from the show?
That's a very good question. There's actually another bishop. When we were working, there was another bishop in Atlanta that one of the extras had asked me about. I can't recall his name, but they were like, do you think this is about this person? And I was like, I don't even know who that person is, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting because I think that because the themes are so universal, but then there are certain specifics that are touched on. I think it'll raise conversations, which I think is what it's supposed to do. I don't believe it's gonna pass judgment. I think it's just gonna raise the conversation.
Yeah, the series is obviously not there to tear down the church, but to let people know that it's a mega church, and a mega church is part business, and in the business, it's like Tammy Baker and Jim Baker, and
absolutely,
Oral Roberts and those cats like that. They're human beings, and things get big, and humans are humans. It just happens to be laid out in something those of us from the Baptist or the AME life can understand, having been in church every single day of the week for some reason or another.
And I wasn't raised in that environment, so seeing it and hearing, like, oh yeah, you got Bible study, then you got this, and you got that, then you got church on Saturday, then you got church on. I was like, whoa,
sunrise service.
Like what happened to play outside? But that's what people are experiencing. So I was, and we were shooting near actual churches, so I was seeing people coming in every day for 3:00, dropping their kids off and doing, the after school programs. And I was like, okay, well, this is, that's what life is right here.
Right. I had thought about that, and like I said, I'm going to respect your time. I do apologize for taking up so much of it.
Oh, no, I'm having fun, so cool. This is
cool.
good.
I was, we just, at Super Bowl, the day of the Super Bowl happened to be the 50th anniversary of the Black Panther Party. Mm-hmm. And one of their main goals, obviously, besides, what things deteriorated into later, were the community outreach and feeding children and educating them and helping them with their homework, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. They took the place in some areas of the church who at during those times didn't have those programs. And so it's really cool to see the development of the church reconnecting with the communities on a baser level, I think.
Absolutely.
We're not here just to preach to you. We're here to show you a way and give these kids some examples. You know what I mean? Let me ask you this, and we'll start to phase out, but what has been your greatest surprise about the entertainment industry, the business portion of the entertainment industry as you have climbed Jacob's ladder, so to speak, to where you are now?
What has been my greatest surprise or my biggest surprise?
Either one.
I would say one of my biggest surprises has been the reach and the impact, and I'll just start with Noah's Ark. I was in Paris at a club, and there was these two guys, two I want to say are probably African of some descent because they were speaking French, and they looked like it. So I can't generalize, but I just want to say they're probably from Africa. And they were talking to each other, and they saw me, and then it was just like this hurried conversation of, they were like, that's him, like that's the guy, that's the guy, that's the guy. So they get their friend who spoke English to come over, and they say, my friend thinks you're this guy that was on Noah's Ark. Are you him? I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, my God. In my country, I couldn't be out. So I moved, and because I watched your show, I was able to tell my parents that I was gay. And I was like, wow. That show that we shot in L.A., had that much of a reach, on the other side of the globe, wherever he was originally from, because there's still places where you can be killed. And there's still places where, violence can occur, and it's just like, hey, sorry. But, it gave him the courage. Similarly, there's another guy that I met who I'm actually still friends with, who I just saw. His name is Jerome Starr. He does not hear. I met him. I went to a book signing, and there was 4, I want to say he had to be like in his late teens at the time. So there's 4 kids coming up the elevator, signing to each other, chilling, and he sees me, and then it says they're like signing. They run to the other side and then come down the escalator, and one of them is like, we really liked you on that show, and he's signing like furiously to each other, and Jerome is just like, I really appreciate, and he could speak a little bit. He's like, I really appreciate what you did. And it wasn't until a year and a half later, because this is before texting was even a thing, we saw each other, and he had his phone. I had my phone. So he's just like, boom, 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 text me. And we had this whole conversation via text of how he was, he was super depressed. He didn't know how to tell his parents. He was overweight, all these different things, and he wanted to be an actor. After meeting me, just me saying hi, because I didn't, it wasn't like I really did much because I couldn't really communicate more than hello and thank you, although they could read my lips. Since then, he has, and I swear, if you look at his Instagram, I was just at Dancing with the Stars, and one of the contestants, Neil, is also hearing impaired. He's an actor. He's lost a ton of weight. He's super confident, super nice, super everything. but he's living. He's having, he's living a life that I believe he wants to live. And it's like the impact of this quote-unquote job has, given people a voice, or it's given people a relief, or given people an escape, you know what I mean? And that's really important when you look at just the history of the entertainment industry, during times of depression, during times of war. It's to give people an escape, and it's to give people a voice, and it's our responsibility to remember that, and also to embrace it and to teach through it. If we're clever enough, then we can throw the entertainment thing on top. But if we're sticking with it, from its basis, it's that type of reach and that type of impact.
I'm still counting. I'm on IMDb right now, and I'm still counting from 2004 to now. I'm already at 20 or something like that. Major pieces, and I'm not even going to lie, and nobody would believe that I would watch something like this, but I actually watched College Road Trip.
I love it.
Yo,
That's
I'm looking,
hilarious.
I'm talking to the guy, he's driving. I'm like, no. And Dear Secret Santa, now that was a goofball movie.
Yeah.
That was just different.
That was,
okay.
What's really interesting about both of those projects is that I didn't know, like when I did College Road Trip, the audition, I didn't know who was in it, and they were almost finished shooting. So when I get there, Kim Whitley and Martin were there, and I was like, oh my God! Like, and Kim is super cool. Like, she treats you like you've been, you're the cousin that just showed up late to the party, and like, I'm gonna get you in and make sure everybody loves you. Super nice. When I did Dear Secret Santa, Tatiana Lee, the same thing, and Bill Cobb, who's also in Greenleaf, was wonderful to work with. So when he shows up on set, I'm like, hey, he's like, hey, what's happening, young man? I'm like, everything. You're just the greatest. So it was those are both two really fun experiences.
Yeah, I that was like my secret. I hated like Dumb and Dumber. I couldn't stand that series, and then Dumber and Dumberer. I couldn't take it. Hot Tub, whatever that one was. But College Road Trip actually was just so fun and relaxing. And in 2008, I watched it. I was actually en route to my final deployment to Afghanistan.
Oh, okay.
And that was in my downtime. Coming off the gun range, and I'm like, all right, I got to find something. And so, of course, we had the bootlegger. The two for $5. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And I was like, oh, there's black people in this. It's a black. Oh yeah, I want that. You know what I mean? I sat down. I have to tell you that College Road Trip, that DVD, made it with me from pre-mob all the way through my 2-year tour in Afghanistan, and I still have it in my library here.
Wow.
In 2016, and it helped me through some downtime in Afghanistan. So, man, it's just an honor to talk to you, bro.
Oh, well, thanks. See, I appreciate that, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's the reach that we don't realize, on that, because I worked on that one day. On that one day, and for me to understand now that actually got somebody through something, or was that released for something, or it's rewarding, but it's also very humbling, and it's also very encouraging, because we all, and for me it's like music. Like right now I have my Gangstar Dwick mix going, but I can put on, oh yeah, that was that's a whole other conversation.
Yes, sir.
I can put on any number of songs, and it'll take me to a specific moment, just that instance. The relief or the fun or the whatever. Like, I listen to I Would Die For You. No matter what I'm doing, I get happy. Because in that part of the movie, it was when things were turning around for Prince, and he was going to make it happen. He did the performance. He did a little thing around the stage and walked around and did the whole deal. That's one of my songs where I go, it's a good day. Do I Do by Stevie Wonder, Want to Be Starting Something. There's a couple songs that I can always go, I wonder if they know, and they, artists, musicians. If I ever meet somebody, I'm a person that walks up and tells people, And now that I'm on a TV show, I got a little power behind it. But I usually approach an artist and go, hey, look, I'm a huge fan. I was bartending at a party once, and I saw Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. And I was like, excuse me, I'll be right back. And I just laid, like, 13 songs out. I was like, everything from SOS Band all the way through to Janet to Human League. Like, thank you so much. You guys rock. Okay, I'm out. I keep it simple. But I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. I used to play basketball with Jerome from Morris Day and the Time.
Did you really?
Yeah, we used to be in a little city league. It was fun. You know what I mean? So I saw him years later. He's like, Jerry. I'm like, yeah. Oh, Jerome.
Wow.
He's like, yeah, man. He said, can you play basketball any better? I'm like, hell no. Black man cannot jump, cannot play basketball.
Oh, so, awesome.
Those memories to hold on are some great things. I'm glad that you shared that with us, man. Is there anything that you might like to have covered that I may have neglected?
We really covered a good spectrum, and I really appreciate the questions, the not so typical questions. I will tell you this, because I know we were going to come back to it, and I'll keep it quick. The very first job I booked was on my birthday. It was an infomercial. And it was funny because it worked in L.A., I lived in San Diego, and me and my brother had the same birthday, which is May 19th. Malcolm X's birthday.
Oh, happy belated birthday. That was just, a couple of days ago. All right, happy belated.
Yeah, last Thursday. And I had already bought my ticket and all this other stuff, so I'm supposed to fly out. Well, I'm thinking, okay, I booked this infomercial. I'm supposed to be there at 8 a.m. I should be done by 4:30 or 5. My flight's at 7. Midway through the day, I realized, we haven't started, and they're just now getting me to set. I faked like I was sick so badly that they let me leave. I drove from Malibu at 4 o'clock to San Diego International Airport at 6:30, got on that flight, and flew up to Oakland to have my birthday. And that was my very first job on May 19th.
Man, people don't understand what you just said. You drove from Malibu, which is off the Pacific Coast Highway, freeway, down to San Diego, which is, we were talking about a 2.5 hour drive.
2.5 without traffic is about
without
2.
traffic.
So this is 4:30. So I hit LAX traffic, I hit Long Beach traffic, I hit Orange County traffic, and my little 86 Honda Accord was not to be played with that day. And I made it all the way. I just remember I was like, I have to make this flight. Like, it's my birthday. Like, and it's my brother's birthday. Like, I've got to be home. And that was what kicked off the. I was like, Mom, I did a commercial today. Oh, that's great. What was it for? I was like, I don't know. It was an infomercial. I think it's going to come on late night.
Oh my God! Yeah. It's been really great getting to know you, man. I feel like I have a better understanding not only of the makeup of someone who has been working constantly. Somebody who stepped on the set. I was going to ask you. My last question would have been. What has been your craziest where they do that at moment, but you just told me. That was pretty amazing. To make it from Malibu to San Diego, to make that flight, leaving at 4 o'clock. I have been stuck on, I was stuck on Santa Monica coming over by the 405, right?
Oh, yeah.
Coming from a studio. I was stuck right in front of the W Hotel on Santa Monica for an hour and a half. I went 50 feet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like, I'm really glad I was a young man then and didn't have the old man's bladder, because it would have been a problem.
Oh, my goodness.
I was stuck in the middle of the day, couldn't get over to get out of the lane and just pull into the parking lot at the W or somewhere. I was like, I just need to get out of this. It was crazy. So that was an incredible feat.
It can be a bear. I know from experience, like if I've got a callback or a meeting or something in the end of the day and it's across to the west side or west of the profile, I'm just like, okay, can we do it earlier? Or go see a movie. Don't even try to leave.
Right.
Just sell your house, do everything you do, just leave. Just stay there. Don't leave.
Man. All right, man. Everybody, live sessions we have been on with Mr. Ben Patterson. June 21st on OWN. Greenleaf returns for season 2. You're going to see my man as Kendall. He's the head of security. He's the badass for the church, the avenging angel, archangel, whatever. And it's going to be exciting. Also, look out for his album on iTunes, 26 Letters, which is the R&B funk. And I'm excited to hear more. He's got a few albums on iTunes right now. He does his own self-promotion. Go support this young man. I can call him young. I'm 52, and he's going to be the young man today. So really excited. He's starring opposite Oprah Winfrey and a cast of amazing, amazing people. And we want to thank you so much for your time with the Hype Magazine today, man.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Check out your #1 digital outlet for music and news. From hip-hop to Hollywood. www.thehypemagazine.com.